Most leaders genuinely care about their people. And yet, when problems appear inside an organization, the first assumption is often that the problem is the people. We say things like, maybe it's a motivational issue, maybe it's communication, maybe it's a leadership gap, or maybe it was simply a bad hire. So organizations respond in the typical fashion. They retrain supervisors, they restructure teams, they clarify strategy, or they tighten accountability. Now, for a while, things improve, but sooner or later, the same tension shows up again. Not in exactly the same form, but familiar. When problems keep coming back, even after you've tried to fix them, you're usually not dealing with a personnel problem. You're dealing with a structural one. Across industries and organizations of every size, I see the same pattern repeat. As vision expands, complexity increases, or pressure rises, execution begins carrying more weight, and gradually authority lines begin to blur. At first, the symptoms are subtle. For example, a decision gets reopened after someone pushes back. A supervisor absorbs responsibility that was never clearly assigned. Or a board steps in to fix something operational and then steps back again. Naturally, leaders try to correct what they can see, but even then, the deeper pattern keeps repeating. This isn't a failure of intelligence, and it isn't a failure of effort. It's a failure of architectural clarity. Most organizations already recognize two leadership responsibilities: vision, where the organization is going, and operations, how the work gets done. But between those two responsibilities sits a third leadership discipline that most organizations never govern intentionally. It's called architectural leadership. Architectural leadership focuses on the structure beneath execution. In other words, it clarifies who actually owns decisions, where authority begins and where it ends, and how governance and management should interact. In most organizations, that structure develops, but it develops informally. Authority gets assumed, decision ownership shifts, and gradually the system becomes unclear. And when structure is unclear, instability becomes predictable. Motivation can't fix structure. Strategy can't fix structure. Communication can't fix structure. Structure has to be clarified, not reactively, not emotionally, but intentionally. Through Foundations Business Consulting, we help senior leaders evaluate and install architectural alignment, not through personality driven reforms, not through endless strategy sessions, but through disciplined governance of authority, ownership, and decision flow. And when structure becomes clear, execution stabilizes. Supervisors stop absorbing unnecessary tension. Boards stop reopening decisions. And operation stops carrying responsibilities that were never clearly assigned. So if this pattern sounds familiar and your organization has capable leaders but reoccurring tension, the next step is clarity. I invite you to watch the executive briefing. There we explain the structural sequence behind these repeating problems and how architecture correction is installed. Begin with architecture. Everything else flows from there.